The Mercy's light drifted through the star-speckled void, its pristine white hull reflecting the distant starlight. Inside the medical bay, Dr. Sarah Chen reviewed the incoming distress signal data while her team prepared for their newest emergency. The Scatheri vessel's damage reports scrolled across her neural interface, painting a grim picture of plasma burns and structural failures. Multiple casualties incoming. Prepare Isolation Chamber 3 for severe radiation exposure, she called out, her voice steady despite the urgency of the situation. The medical bay hummed with activity as specialized equipment whirred to life. The soft blue glow of the sterilization field cast gentle shadows across the advanced medical equipment. The ship's internal gravity shifted slightly as they adjusted course. Through the observation window, she could see the damaged Scatheri ship, its elegant crystalline structure marred by what appeared to be a catastrophic engine malfunction. Portions of its hull still glowed with residual heat, creating an eerily beautiful pattern against the darkness of space. Engineering reports ready for power transfer, Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez announced from his station, diverting non-essential shield power to support additional life support systems. His fingers danced across the holographic interface, redistributing the ship's energy grid to accommodate their needs. The first patients arrived through the emergency teleport system in bursts of blue light. The Scatheri, with their crystalline-based biology, required specialized handling. Their bodies sparkled under the medical bay's lights, internal fractures visible through their partially transparent skin. Initiating crystal matrix stabilization, Dr. Chen announced, her augmented reality overlay highlighting the most critical injuries. The Scatheri ambassador's life signs fluctuated dangerously on the monitoring system. Team 2, prepare silicon-based plasma infusion. Their core temperature is dropping. The medical staff moved with practiced precision, their movements choreographed through years of handling multi-species emergencies. Human medical ships had earned their reputation through their ability to adapt to any situation, their Earth-evolved flexibility proving invaluable in space medicine. Ambassador stabilizing, reported Dr. Rajesh Patel, his hand steady as he adjusted the crystal matrix regenerator. Beginning secondary phase of reconstruction. The ambassador's damaged crystal structure began to realign under the careful ministrations of the medical team. Outside the medical bay, the rest of the Mercy's Light's crew maintained their standard operations. Security teams conducted routine patrols, engineers monitored the power distribution, and the bridge crew kept watch over their surrounding space. The ship's AI maintained a constant scan of nearby sectors, a standard precaution during emergency operations. Second wave of patients incoming, announced the transport coordinator. Multiple critical cases detected. The teleport pads hummed to life once more, delivering more injured Scatheri to the waiting medical teams. Dr. Chen moved between patients with efficient grace, her neural interface processing multiple data streams simultaneously. Earth's high gravity and demanding environment had produced humans capable of maintaining focus under extreme pressure, a trait that made them exceptional emergency responders. Detecting unusual energy signatures at the edge of our sensor range, reported the security officer, though his tone remained calm. The Mercy's Light had responded to enough emergency calls to know that damaged ships sometimes attracted unwanted attention. The medical team continued their work, unperturbed by the potential threat. Their primary mission remained the same, saving lives. The human crew's ability to compartmentalize allowed them to maintain their focus on the critical tasks at hand while remaining aware of their surroundings. Initiating final phase of emergency treatment for first-wave patients, Dr. Chen announced, her voice carrying the quiet confidence that had become characteristic of human medical professionals. The Scatheri ambassador's crystal structure now gleamed with renewed strength, the emergency repairs holding steady. As the second wave of patients received their initial treatments, the unusual energy signatures grew stronger. The Mercy's Light maintained its position, its remaining shield power distributed optimally to protect its precious cargo of patients and medical personnel. The human crew continued their work, their efficiency unmarred by the growing tension. They had evolved on a planet that demanded constant vigilance, where ancient humans learned to treat injuries while watching for predators. Now, among the stars, those same instincts served them well. Little did they know, they would soon need every ounce of that evolutionary advantage. Captain Trith of the Vraxian scout ship Shadowleaf studied the human medical vessel through his ship's enhanced sensors. His segmented eyes narrowed as he processed the energy readings, mandibles clicking in what his species recognized as thoughtful contemplation. The medical ship's power distribution patterns told an interesting story, one that any experienced raider would find tempting. Analysis complete, Honored Hunter, his sensor officer reported, her own mandibles twitching with anticipation. Their shield strength has dropped to 30% of standard operating capacity. They've diverted significant power to their medical systems. The Shadowleaf maintained its position behind the asteroid field, its advanced stealth systems rendering it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. The crew watched as the Mercy's light continued its medical operations, completely unaware of their observers. Interesting. Trith chittered softly. These humans operate differently from other medical ships we've encountered. Notice how they maintain minimal shields rather than dropping them completely. He leaned forward in his command chair, its crystalline structure adjusting to his movement. The sensor officer brought up additional data streams, displaying them in the air around Trith's station. Their power grid shows remarkable efficiency, Honored Hunter. Even with reduced shields, they're managing to operate multiple emergency systems simultaneously. Through the main viewport, they could see the occasional flash of the medical ship's teleport system as it continued to transfer patients from the damaged Scatheri vessel. Each transport caused minute fluctuations in their shield grid, creating what appeared to be vulnerabilities. The humans come from a high-gravity world. The ship's xenobiologist offered from her station. Their neural systems evolved to process multiple threats simultaneously. Legend suggests their planet required constant vigilance. Frith absorbed this information, his tactical mind working through the implications. The Vraxian databases contained limited information about Earth-based humans, most of it theoretical. Their species had yet to engage in direct conflict with human vessels. Their medical bay appears to be operating at maximum capacity. The sensor officer updated. Multiple life signs from various species detected. The human crew shows elevated stress markers, yet their efficiency remains unchanged. The bridge crew of the Shadowleaf watched as the medical ship executed a series of precise maneuvers, maintaining optimal position relative to the damaged Scatheri vessel while continuing their emergency operations. The level of coordination impressed even the veteran Vraxian raiders. Prepare boarding calculations. Trith commanded, his decision made. Their focus on healing makes them vulnerable. No species can maintain combat readiness while performing complex medical procedures. His crew immediately began their preparations, their movements precise and practiced. The tactical officer brought up a three-dimensional model of the Mercy's light, highlighting potential breach points. Their design emphasizes function over defense, Honored Hunter. Standard medical vessel configuration, despite their species' reputation. Srith studied the model, noting the apparent weak points in the human ship's structure. Years of successful raids had taught him to recognize opportunities, and this situation presented several. The reduced shield power, the distracted crew, the valuable medical supplies, all pointed toward a profitable venture. Begin approach calculations, he ordered, mandibles flexing with anticipation. Their sensors are focused on the damaged vessel. We'll use the asteroid field's radiation signature to mask our initial movement. The Shadowleaf's engines hummed to life, the sound barely noticeable even within the ship. Their stealth systems adjusted automatically, compensating for the slight increase in power output. The asteroid field's natural interference would hide their approach until the optimal moment. Target their secondary power grid, Trith instructed. A precision strike there will prevent them from redistributing energy to their shields. His crew acknowledged the order, their movements displaying the confidence born of numerous successful raids. As the Shadowleaf began its careful approach, none of its crew noticed the subtle changes in the medical ship's sensor sweep patterns. The humans, products of a world that bred paranoia alongside intelligence, had developed habits that many species considered excessive. The Vraxian raiders were about to learn why attacking a human medical ship, while it was healing patients, ranked among the galaxy's most significant tactical mistakes. The first indication that something had changed came as a subtle shift in the Mercy's light's shield harmonics. Lieutenant Rodriguez noticed it during a routine power distribution check. A minute alteration that most species would have missed. Humans, with their predatory ancestry, had evolved to notice such small details. Security, we're picking up trace quantum distortions in Sector 7, he reported calmly, his fingers already adjusting power flow patterns. The bridge crew responded with the quiet efficiency that marked experienced human teams, their actions precise without any wasted movement. Dr. Chen's voice came through the internal communication system, steady despite the ongoing emergency procedures. Engineering, we need to maintain power stability for the crystal matrix regeneration. The ambassador's core structure is at a critical phase. Understood, medical. Implementing adaptive power distribution protocols. Rodriguez's response revealed nothing of the growing tension. The human crew continued their work, their Earth-evolved multitasking capabilities allowing them to monitor both their patients and their surroundings. In the security center, Officer Martinez watched as the ship's defensive systems tracked the almost imperceptible movements behind the asteroid field. Human pattern recognition, honed by millennia of detecting camouflaged predators, made them particularly adept at spotting hidden threats. Bridge security, detecting artificial radiation patterns among the natural interference, consistent with stealth drive signatures. Martinez's report carried the calm precision that marked human professionals under pressure. His team quietly moved into defensive positions throughout the ship. The Vraxian ship, unaware that its presence had been detected, continued its careful approach. Captain Trith would have been surprised to learn that the humans had already begun countermeasures, their actions so subtle that even his advanced sensors failed to detect them. Maintain medical operations at full capacity, the ship's captain ordered through the command channel. Security teams, implement Protocol Sierra 7. Engineering, prepare for power surge compensation. The orders flowed smoothly, each department acknowledging without breaking stride in their current tasks. In the medical bay, Dr. Chen's team continued their delicate work with the injured Sktheri. The crystal matrix regeneration proceeded precisely as planned, their movements showing no sign that they were aware of the potential threat. Human medical training emphasized maintaining focus regardless of external circumstances. Second-wave patient stabilization complete, Dr. Puddle reported, his hand steady as he adjusted the final settings on the regeneration field. Beginning tertiary care protocols for the ambassador's team. The Mercy's Light's defensive systems activated in layers, each one carefully calibrated to appear as normal power fluctuations to outside observers. The human crew's ability to coordinate complex actions without obvious communication patterns proved invaluable. Contact approaching optimal weapons range. Martin is updated, his tone professional. Stealth systems still engaged, but movement patterns suggest preparation for offensive action. The bridge crew manipulated their stations with practiced ease, each adjustment carefully masked as part of their ongoing emergency medical operations. Humans had perfected the art of preparing for combat while appearing completely focused on other tasks. Medical team, prepare for potential stability adjustments, the captain warned, her voice carrying no hint of concern. Engineering, status of our power reserves. Reserves at optimal levels, Captain. Distribution grid ready for emergency reallocation. Rodriguez's response reflected the human tendency to prepare for multiple contingencies simultaneously. The Vraxian ship edged closer, its crew confident in their strategy. They remained unaware that their target had not only detected them, but had already prepared multiple countermeasures. The human crew's capacity to maintain multiple parallel operations, a legacy of their evolution, gave them a crucial advantage. All departments, maintain current operations, the captain ordered. Let's show our visitors why medical ships from Earth require special consideration. Throughout the Mercy's light, the human crew continued their work with unbroken focus. Their Earth-bred instincts, which had once helped their ancestors hunt while watching for larger predators, now served them well among the stars. The dance had begun, but only one side knew all the steps. Dr. Chen's hands moved with microscopic precision as she guided the crystal matrix regenerator across the ambassador's fractured core structure. The delicate procedure required absolute concentration, a fact that made the approaching threat even more challenging for most species. For humans, it simply activated another layer of their multitasking capabilities. Beginning final phase of core restructuring, she announced, her voice carrying the same professional calm it had maintained since the emergency began. The neural scanner projected detailed holographic overlays of the ambassador's crystal matrix, highlighting the areas still requiring treatment. The ship shuddered slightly as the first probing shot from the Vraxian vessel glanced off their outer shields. Dr. Chen's hands never wavered, maintaining perfect control of the regenerator. Her team continued their work with the same steadfast focus, their movements precise and deliberate. Compensating for gravitational fluctuation, Dr. Puddle reported, adjusting the stasis field around another patient. Crystal matrix stability maintained at optimal levels. The medical bay hummed with activity, each staff member performing their duties as if they were in the calmest of circumstances. Through the medical bay's observation window, energy flares lit up the space around the ship. The Mercy's light's defensive systems had engaged, responding to the Vraxian attack with calculated precision. The medical team remained focused on their patients, their Earth-evolved ability to compartmentalize allowing them to ignore the battle unfolding around them. Ambassador's core temperature stabilizing, one of the nurses reported, monitoring the complex array of vital signs. Secondary crystal growth showing positive response to treatment. The medical sensors continued their steady rhythm, providing constant updates on their patients' conditions. Another impact rocked the ship, stronger this time. The medical bay's internal compensation systems adjusted automatically, maintaining the delicate equipment's stability. Dr. Chen continued her work on the ambassador's crystal matrix, each movement calculated and exact. Security team reports breach attempt in Sector 4. Came the announcement over the internal communication system. Medical bay status unchanged. Continue current procedures. The message carried the calm efficiency that marked human emergency protocols. Dr. Chen made a series of minute adjustments to the regenerator's frequency, watching as the ambassador's damaged crystal structure began its final alignment. Human surgical precision, developed through generations of medical advancement, proved particularly suited to the detailed work of xenological medicine. Preparing to initiate final binding sequence, she announced, her focus absolute. The surrounding battle seemed to exist in another reality, separated from the critical medical procedure by layers of human cognitive partitioning. Team 2, standby with stabilization fields. The ship's defensive systems continued their work outside, each calculated response designed to protect the medical bay's sensitive operations. The human security teams moved through the ship with practiced efficiency, their movements coordinated without disturbing the ongoing medical procedures. Crystal matrix achieving optimal resonance, Dr. Petal confirmed, monitoring the complex readings. Regeneration pattern holding steady. The medical team worked in perfect synchronization, their actions complementing each other with practiced ease. More impacts registered against the ship shields, but the medical bay's equipment remained steady. The human crew's ability to maintain stability under pressure, a trait evolved from Earth's demanding environment, showed in every aspect of their performance. Final phase of Ambassador's treatment commencing. Dr. Chen announced, her hands guiding the regenerator through the last delicate adjustments. Preparing to disengage crystal matrix support. The procedure had reached its most critical stage, requiring absolute precision. Outside the medical bay, the sound of security teams responding to another breach attempt echoed through the corridors. The medical staff remained focused on their tasks, their training and natural adaptability, allowing them to maintain their concentration despite the growing conflict. Ambassador's crystal matrix stabilized. Dr. Chen confirmed, her voice carrying satisfaction as she completed the procedure. Beginning standard post-regeneration protocols. She stepped back from the treatment pod, allowing the automated systems to begin their work. The Vraxian raiders were about to discover why attacking the human medical ship during critical procedures was a fundamental miscalculation. The medical team's unwavering focus represented only one aspect of humanity's complex capabilities, and the others were about to become apparent. Officer Martinez moved through the dimly lit corridor with practiced efficiency, his movements reflecting years of security training combined with humanity's predatory heritage. Behind him, his team spread out in a pattern that would have seemed familiar to ancient human hunting parties. Contact in Sector 6, his neural interface reported, highlighting potential breach points in his enhanced vision. Multiple signatures detected. The security team adjusted their positions automatically, their movements synchronized through both technology and instinct. The first breach attempt came exactly where they expected. The Vraxian cutting beam sliced through the outer hull with surgical precision, but found only an empty compartment. Martinez allowed himself a small smile. Human security protocols always assumed enemies would target predictable entry points. Team 2, prepare for contact. He subvocalized through the neural net. Remember, minimal damage to ship systems. Medical operations take priority. His team acknowledged with slight changes in their posture, another remnant of humanity's evolutionary past. The breach point erupted in a shower of sparks as the Vraxian boarding party made their entrance. They moved with the confidence of experienced raiders, their advanced armor gleaming in the emergency lighting. They hadn't expected to find the human security team already in position. Martinez's enhanced reflexes, a product of both training and Earth's higher gravity, allowed him to react before the first raider fully entered the ship. The non-lethal containment field activated precisely as planned, trapping the lead infiltrator in a bubble of engineered spacitime. Security breach contained in Sector 6, he reported to the bridge, his voice steady. Beginning counter-insertion protocols. The rest of his team moved forward, their actions smooth and coordinated. Earth's predatory past had given humans an instinctive understanding of tactical movement. The Vraxian raiders found themselves facing an opponent that combined technological expertise with natural hunting instincts. Each attempt to advance met with precisely calculated resistance, the human security team seemingly anticipating their every move. Second breach attempt detected in Sector 8, the ship's systems announced. Martinez's team split smoothly, years of drills combining with inherited instincts to maintain optimal coverage. The human ability to process multiple threats simultaneously proved invaluable. Medical Bay reports all procedures continuing normally. Came an update through the command channel. Power distribution remained stable. The security team's efficiency in containing the threat allowed the rest of the ship's operations to continue uninterrupted. The Vraxian raiders' confusion became apparent in their increasingly desperate tactics. They had expected to find a distracted, vulnerable crew. Instead, they encountered a security force that operated as if they had been preparing for this exact scenario. Team 3, Intercept Point Charlie. Martinez ordered as new breach attempts appeared on his tactical display. Standard containment protocols. His people moved with fluid grace, their movements economical yet powerful. Earth's gravity had produced a species capable of explosive action when necessary. Another group of raiders found themselves trapped between security teams, their advanced armor proving less advantageous in the confined spaces of the ship's corridors. Human close-quarters combat techniques, developed over millennia of warfare, demonstrated their continued relevance even in space. Bridge security. Multiple boarding parties contained, beginning secondary sweep protocols. Martinez directed his teams with subtle hand signals, another habit evolved from humanity's hunting past. The raiders' movements had become predictable, following patterns that any experienced predator would recognize. The Vraxian captain's voice crackled through their captured communications channels, his confusion evident even through the translator. How are they maintaining both defense and medical operations? It should not be possible. Martinez allowed himself another small smile as his team secured another breach point. The raiders were learning what many others had discovered. Human multitasking capabilities, evolved over millions of years, made them uniquely suited to complex emergency operations. Final breach attempt neutralize, he reported, watching as his team secured the last group of raiders. All sectors returning to normal security status. The entire engagement had lasted less than 15 minutes, handled with the same efficiency that humans once used to hunt on Earth's savannas. In the medical bay, the sound of ongoing treatments continued uninterrupted, a testament to humanity's ability to compartmentalize even in the most demanding situations. Captain Trith watched through the Shadowleaf's main viewport as his boarding team's signals winked out one by one. The efficiency with which the human medical ship's crew had responded defied all his previous experience. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of growing concern among his species. Honored Hunter, Boarding Team 7 reports complete containment, his tactical officer announced, her own mandibles twitching nervously. The humans, they never ceased their medical operations. The disbelief in her voice echoed the sentiment across the bridge. The sensor displays showed an impossible scenario. The Mercy's light maintained its precise position relative to the damaged Sktheri vessel, its medical transporter still operating at full capacity. The human crew performed emergency medical procedures while simultaneously neutralizing multiple boarding attempts. "Show me their power distribution again," Trith commanded, leaning forward in his command chair. The holographic display materialized, revealing patterns that challenged his understanding. They're not redirecting power from medical to defensive systems. They're operating both simultaneously. Through the tactical feeds, he observed the human security teams moving with predatory grace through their ship's corridors. Their movements spoke of both trained precision and natural instinct, a combination that had proved devastatingly effective against his boarding parties. "Xenobiology, explain," he demanded, his eyes fixed on the continuing medical operations visible through the Mercy's light's external viewport. "How do they maintain such complexity of action?" The xenobiologist's response came with a note of fascination. "Their evolutionary history suggests they evolved as pursuit predators, Honored Hunter. Their species developed the ability to maintain multiple parallel thought processes while tracking prey over long distances." Another display showed Dr. Chen completing a particularly delicate procedure, her movements precise despite the recent combat. The medical bay's efficiency remained unaffected by the security crisis, operating as if the ship were in peaceful space. Their neural architecture, the xenobiologist continued, allows them to process multiple threat scenarios while performing complex tasks. It's not a technological advantage, it's biological. The revelation brought a new silence to the Shadowleaf's bridge. Srith observed as the human security teams systematically secured their captured raiders, their movements economical yet alert. No gesture was wasted, no position exposed. They operated with the efficiency of experienced hunters who had cornered their prey. "Signal from the human vessel, Honored Hunter," the communications officer reported. The message was brief but clear. "Stand down, or we will be forced to demonstrate our defensive capabilities more actively. Your boarding teams are safe but contained." The tactical display updated, showing the Mercy's light's weapon systems coming to full power, all while maintaining their medical operations. The human ship had managed to restore its shield strength without interrupting any of its emergency procedures. They were never vulnerable, Trith realized, his mandibles clicking slowly in comprehension. The reduced shield power was a calculated risk, not a weakness. They remained combat-ready while healing their patients. The bridge crew watched as another group of injured Sktheri materialized in the human ship's medical bay. The precision of the transfer, even under current circumstances, spoke volumes about the human crew's capabilities. "Send the stand-down signal," Trith ordered, his decision made. Request permission to retrieve our boarding teams." His crew complied immediately, recognizing the wisdom of retreat. The response from the Mercy's Light came swiftly. "Permission granted. Approach on prescribed coordinates only. Any deviation will be considered hostile action." The precision of their terms matched the efficiency of their actions. "Their species designation in our database requires updating," Trith noted, watching as his Chassin boarding teams were systematically released and transported back. They are not simply Deathworlders. They are apex predators who chose to become healers. The Shadowleaf's crew observed in continued fascination as the human ship maintained its dual nature, healer and defender, protector and warrior. It was a complexity that few species could achieve, let alone maintain under pressure. "Log this encounter as a priority learning experience," Trith commanded. "The humans have earned their reputation. Medical ship or not, they are not to be underestimated." In the space between the vessels, the stars witnessed a new understanding dawn, one that would spread rapidly through the galaxy's spacefaring species. The incident report from the Mercy's Light spread through interstellar communication channels with remarkable speed. Space station administrators and ship captains across multiple sectors found themselves reviewing the detailed account of how a human medical vessel had maintained full emergency operations while repelling a coordinated raid. At the Galactic Medical Exchange on Station 7, Director Kivex studied the footage from multiple angles. The crystalline being's faceted eyes refracted light in patterns that indicated deep interest as they watched Dr. Chen perform complex crystal matrix regeneration, while security teams defended the ship. "Remarkable efficiency," they noted to their assembled staff. The humans maintained optimal medical care standards throughout the entire encounter. The medical bay recording showed no deterioration in performance, no hesitation in procedures despite the ongoing security crisis. In the station's primary conference chamber, representatives from various species gathered to discuss the implications. The Scatheri ambassador, fully recovered thanks to the Mercy's Light's intervention, stood before them to provide personal testimony. Their dedication to healing remained absolute. The ambassador's crystal structure pulsed with colors of respect as they spoke. Even as they defended their vessel, not a single medical procedure was compromised. "My people owe them a debt beyond measure." The station's Tactical Analysis Division presented their findings to the assembled representatives. The human ship's power distribution graphs demonstrated levels of operational efficiency that many had previously considered impossible to maintain during combat conditions. Their neural architecture allows for true parallel processing, the chief analyst explained, displaying brain scan data from human medical personnel. What we perceive as divided attention is, for them, natural multitasking capability. Their evolutionary background as persistence hunters required this adaptation. Through secured channels, various ship captains began updating their protocols regarding human medical vessels. The Vraxian incident had proven that the humans' reputation for combining healing arts with defensive capabilities was well earned. Station 7's medical training facility quickly incorporated the incident into their curriculum. Medical students from across the galaxy studied the humans' ability to maintain focus under extreme conditions, though few species could hope to replicate their multitasking capabilities. Their response time to the initial breach attempt was exceptional, the station's security chief noted during a staff briefing. The holographic replay showed how the human security teams had anticipated and countered each Vraxian move. They never sacrificed medical care for defensive action. In the diplomatic section, representatives debated the implications of human medical ships' capabilities. The footage of Dr. Chen completing the ambassador's crystal matrix regeneration, while the ship repelled boarders, had made a significant impression. They demonstrate an unusual duality, observed a Meridian diplomat, their bioluminescent patterns shifting thoughtfully. The capacity to heal and defend with equal efficiency challenges our previous understanding of their species. The station's archives began receiving requests from various worlds for information about human medical training programs. The incident had sparked interest in their methods, though many species would need to develop new approaches to accommodate their different cognitive architectures. Their success rate during the crisis remained at peak efficiency, noted the chief medical officer, reviewing the Mercy's Light's performance data. No other known species has demonstrated this level of operational stability under comparable conditions. Through the various levels of Station 7, discussions continued about the implications of human medical ships' capabilities. The incident had forced many to reevaluate their assumptions about the compatibility of healing and defensive operations. The humans have established a new standard, Director Kvex announced in their final assessment. Their ability to maintain medical excellence while ensuring operational security demonstrates an evolutionary advantage we must study further. In the station's observation dome, visitors gathered to watch as another human medical ship docked for resupply. The vessel's pristine white hull gleamed under the station's lights, its appearance belying its hidden strengths. The Mercy's Light's incident report concluded with a simple statement that resonated throughout the galaxy. Standard human medical protocol maintained throughout security response. All patients recovered fully. Ship systems operating at normal capacity. This understated summary, typical of human incident reports, perhaps best illustrated why their medical ships had earned such respect. For humans, the extraordinary feat of healing while under attack was, simply, part of their standard operation. As Station 7's day cycle drew to a close, the implications of this new understanding continued to ripple through the galactic community. The humans had demonstrated that sometimes the most effective healers were those who could also protect their charges. The Mercy's Light continued its patrol route through the outer sectors, its pristine hull showing no signs of the recent encounter. Inside the medical bay, Dr. Chen reviewed the final recovery data from their Scathari patients, her expression showing quiet satisfaction at their successful treatment outcomes. Final patient discharge complete, she noted in the ship's medical log. Crystal matrix regeneration procedures proved effective under combat conditions, recommending updated protocols for future emergency responses. Her voice carried the calm assurance that had become characteristic of human medical officers. Lieutenant Rodriguez had completed the last power distribution adjustments, bringing the ship's systems back to standard operating parameters. The efficiency with which they had maintained both defensive and medical operations during the crisis had prompted requests for technical documentation from various fleet commands. Power grid analysis confirms optimal performance during multitask operations, he recorded in the engineering logs. Human neural interface systems demonstrated expected advantages in crisis management scenarios. The data would contribute to future ship designs, incorporating lessons learned from the incident. In the security center, Officer Martinez conducted the final debriefing with his team. The footage from their encounter with the Vraxian boarding parties had already become required viewing at several Space Academy training facilities. Our response times exceeded previous benchmarks, he noted to his assembled staff. The integration of medical and security protocols proved highly effective. We'll incorporate these findings into our standard rotation drills. The bridge crew maintained their usual watch schedule, though now they noticed increased respect in communications from passing vessels. Word had spread quickly about how the human medical ship had handled the attempted raid while continuing emergency treatment procedures. Incoming transmission from Central Medical Command, the communications officer announced. They're requesting our updated procedures for maintaining medical operations during security incidents. The interest in human multitasking capabilities had grown significantly since the encounter. Dr. Patel organized the medical bay's inventory, noting how their emergency supplies had held up under the combined stress of critical procedures and defensive operations. The data would help other medical ships prepare for similar situations. Supply utilization remained within optimal parameters despite crisis conditions, he recorded. Human efficiency protocols demonstrated significant advantages in resource management during multiple emergency scenarios. Throughout the ship, crew members went about their duties with the same quiet competence that had served them so well during the crisis. The incident had merely confirmed what they had always known. Their Earth-evolved capabilities made them uniquely suited for emergency response roles. Updated security protocols receiving positive feedback from other medical vessels, Martins reported during the daily staff meeting. Our experience is helping them prepare for similar situations. The incident had sparked increased interest in human defensive techniques among medical ships of all species. The ship's captain reviewed the growing list of commendations and requests for information. The Mercy's Light's handling of the crisis had drawn attention from multiple sectors, all interested in understanding how humans manage to maintain such high performance under pressure. Our response has set new standards for emergency operations, she noted in her command log. The crew's performance demonstrated the unique advantages of human neural architecture in crisis management. As the Mercy's Light approached its next patrol sector, the lessons from their encounter continued to spread throughout the galaxy. Medical ships of various species began implementing new protocols, though few could fully replicate the human capacity for parallel processing. Receiving request for emergency response, the communications officer announced. Mining accident in Sector 7. Multiple casualties reported. The crew smoothly transitioned to emergency operations, their recent experience having only enhanced their natural efficiency. Dr. Chen prepared her medical team for their next challenge, the recent incident having reinforced their confidence in their capabilities. The combination of human adaptability and professional training had proven its worth yet again. All departments report ready, the captain announced as they altered course. Standard emergency protocols in effect. The Mercy's Light's crew had demonstrated why human medical ships commanded such respect, and they would continue to do so. The stars streaked past as the ship accelerated toward its new mission, carrying its crew of human healers and defenders. They had shown the galaxy why attacking a Deathworlder's ship while healing was a profound mistake, and in doing so, had helped establish a new understanding of human capabilities among the stars.